The following program is underwritten by the Nevada Irrigation District. Since 1921, providing clean and healthy drinking and irrigation water to more than 24,000 homes, farms, schools, and businesses in Nevada and Placer counties.
Hi, I'm your host, Lou Sitzer. This is NCTV Interviews. Thanks for watching. Today we have with us folks from the Nevada County Land Trust, an organization that has been in the community for a long time. We'll find out more about it, and we'll find out more about the events that they're planning. I'd like to welcome Marty Coleman Hunt, the Executive Director of the Land Trust, and Dan Macon, who is Director of Conservation Programs, Sandra Rockman, who is coordinator of the coming concert. And so, can you tell us, Marty, about the Land Trust, maybe when it got started, how long it's been in the community, and what its purpose is?
Yeah. Thank you, Lou, for having us here. It's been a long time since we've actually been on your program, and it's a very important organization. It's a membership organization completely supported by the local community. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. And what we're here to do is protect the wonderful, beautiful landscapes that we have surrounding our communities. So many of us have moved here because of the beautiful, beautiful open space, the landscapes, the river corridors, and our beautiful towns, our local farms. And the Land Trust is here to help protect that, that wonderful resource in perpetuity.
So how long has it been here in our community?
The Nevada County Land Trust has been around for about 18 years now. We're quickly approaching our 20th anniversary. We're getting really excited about that. And we've accomplished a great deal. We've preserved about 6,500 acres of land in our community. Most of that land remains held by private landowners, and the Land Trust owns the development rights to that land. It's called a conservation easement. And this is really at the core of what we do at the Land Trust. We also offer programs to help people learn more about the land, good land stewardship practices, nature programs, which we can talk about a little bit more later on. But really the core of what we do is protect land.
So when you talk about protecting land and preserving land, I know people in this area get a little nervous when it comes to things like property rights. Mm-hmm. So what does that mean when someone agrees to have its land or their land put in trust?
Well, that's really an area that I work in quite extensively. And as Marty mentioned, we have protected about 6,500 acres of land. And almost all of that is voluntarily protected through conservation easements, where a landowner decides that they don't ever want to develop their property and are willing to separate those development rights that are part of their bundle of property rights in exchange for some tax benefit, or in some cases for some cash benefit to those development rights. In the cases of the properties that we've protected, many of them are working lands. They're farms or ranches or working forest lands. And those landowners can continue to graze cattle or grow crops on those lands, continue to harvest timber where it's appropriate. But what they can't do is put new roads and houses and subdivisions on their land. Mm-hmm. And it's a voluntary activity that gives them some protection, but also protects that land in perpetuity for all of us to enjoy here in the county.
And so I would assume that a lot of that land is land that families have owned for generations. What are the sizes of parcels we're talking about? Can an individual homeowner dedicate their land, talking about maybe 5 acres or 10 acres, or we're looking at hundreds of acres?
It really depends on the resources that the landowner has to protect. You know, or a smaller property typically does not have the ecological values or the agricultural values that make it an important piece of land from a societal standpoint. Most of our conservation easements are in excess of 100 acres. We do have some smaller properties that we've helped landowners protect as well. But really it depends on the value of the natural and agricultural and scenic resources on the property as to how big or how small we can work. The IRS gets involved because there are charitable donations made of these interests in property. And they want to make sure that we're protecting those natural or agricultural resources that are important to the larger community.
Right. And so when someone agrees to, and you assess the value of it in terms of the ecology or the beauty, or the working farms, what's the process, and could you talk a little bit about the benefits? Because I think that a lot of people are attracted to the fact that there are tax benefits.
Right, right. The process is really pretty straightforward. A conservation easement is much like any other type of easement that you would have on your property. In this case, it's just a way to separate those development rights so that they can't be exercised in the future. But that easement is recorded on the deed of the property, so it shows up when the property is sold, and it can be sold subject to those restrictions and covenants in the conservation easement. The easement is negotiated between the land trust and the landowner to meet the particular needs of that property and the particular desires of that landowner. An easement does not necessarily grant any public access, and for many farmers and ranchers that's a primary concern. They really can't have the public coming on, and an easement does not grant that ability. So it is a tool that fits with agricultural production.
And yet there are some properties that agree to the public coming on?
There are some, and there are a handful of properties that we own in fee title that landowners have willed to the land trust in the past because they wanted the land trust to permanently protect those and to own those properties as a resource for the organization. The Burton Homestead Park is a great example of that, and it really has become a resource for the community that Marty will talk about a little later. But in terms of the tax benefits, there are both income tax benefits and some estate tax benefits to landowners that donate those interests in property. And some new changes just made those tax benefits much more attractive, especially for farmers or ranchers, where they have the ability to get the full value of that conservation easement taken off of their taxes over the course of their lifetime.
So later we'll be posting ways in which you can get a hold of Dan and calling the Land Trust if you're interested in the advantages to discuss further. That'd be great. So what are some of the programs that you have, Marty?
Oh, we have a number of wonderful programs that we offer the community. One really important program that a lot of people know about are our trails. We have Land Trust volunteers and members have created about 10 miles of trails throughout our what we might call urban area. We call them urban trails. They're trails that go between Nevada City and Grass Valley and through different neighborhoods that where the homeowners in those areas have expressed a desire to have walkable trails. It's completely volunteer built. The trails are. We have a volunteer. We have a trail coordinator on staff who coordinates the work of all of the people who come out to build trails and maintain them throughout the year, cutting down brush and making sure the trails are safe. But the trails program is extremely popular. One of the more popular trails that people know about is the Lytton Trail. That's a Land Trust trail, and that's the one that goes through Sierra College and up along Sierra College Boulevard and around the hills up there, so that people in that community can walk back and forth into town.
Are you involved with the new Hirschman Pond at all in that area?
Yes, the Hirschman Pond Trail is one of our newest programs. That's a partnership with the City of Nevada City, And we've just received a grant with the city from the state of California to build a 3-mile-long trail that will go from the Rood Center along Hirschman Pond all the way to about the Willow Restaurant, if you know where that is,
It's
along
my
Highway
neighborhood,
49.
that's why I asked.
Well, there's a new subdivision in that area, and the homeowners wanted to have a trail, and we worked very closely with them, with the developer of that community to get the easements to put the trail through. But it's going to be beautiful, and it'll be about 2 years when it'll be completely accessible.
Yeah, there seems to be, a lot of contention in our area from day one as to how the area would develop, the balance between growth and environment. And I imagine you're involved with working that out, trying to find the balance that works, which is very delicate conversation, actually. So
it's a very important conversation for the community to have, and this is a good time to have it. And we have a very diverse membership with a lot of different opinions about that topic. Planning and zoning and all those types of issues are all really important to the quality of life of any community. So we really encourage everyone to pay close attention to what's going on through this election season and ask a lot of questions and really vote.
Get involved.
Get involved.
I think the other important aspect of that with respect to our role in the community is that we help private landowners exercise their own private property rights in conserving their land too. And while these other discussions are ongoing, we are a service to landowners that really want to make the commitment to conserve their land long term, independent of these other discussions that we need to have at the community level.
You ever get any response where people say, well, I did want to do that, but now things have changed, and I really want to change everything. Can I take that back?
We have not had that experience, and that is a question that a lot of people ask. Conservation easements last in perpetuity, which is a very long time. That is always a really important consideration. The landowners that have made that commitment with us to date are so committed to their land that they feel it's really important to maintain their land as it is in perpetuity. To use an example, one of the ranching families that we work with, the Trabucos, feel it's really important that we have large ranches like theirs in perpetuity, and they're committed to making that happen through their conservation easement, but also through the ways that they manage their land.
Great. Well, I know you brought a lot of material for us to look at. Maybe we should go to some of the visuals that you brought, and you can tell us what we're looking at as we air them.
Okay, that sounds great. This is an example of the types of lands that we have preserved in the past. I believe this is Trabucos, isn't it?
I believe it is.
It's a working cattle ranch, and it just shows you what a wonderful resource our lands are in our community. This is an example of the types of programs that we have. We have a treks program where we have about 30 or 40 treks throughout the year that are guided treks. Generally, it's an expert in a particular field of science or history that will lead groups of 10, 15, 20 people out into areas of the county and talk about the land. This looks like someone who's doing some bird watching.
And you have a newsletter that you send out electronically that announces the treks and other activities that are happening, which is a good thing for people to get.
Right. We try and make sure that our trek schedules are in places like the Chamber of Commerce and the library, but our members all get copies of them. Another example of some beautiful areas that we've preserved. The equestrian lands in our community are phenomenal. I don't know if people realize how much interest there is in preserving equestrian land, but we work with them as well. This is an example of another event that we have had with a number of landowners in a community that are interested in a community-based land conservation program. And we had Dan and a couple of other speakers out there talking about what they had in their community. This happens to be a little waterfall that is along one of the creek. It's a year-round waterfall along the creek side where
it's
we were
even
having
flowing
a
now?
picnic. Yes, it is.
That's great.
Yes, it has fish in it too. So, I think so many people have seen these images as they've walked on trails through the community or just even driven by. and I think people realize what an incredible treasure we have here. And we have a large member organization. We have about 650 families that belong to the Land Trust, and with annual paying annual member dues that help us protect these lands. This is another example of a trek that is being led, and I think that's John Olmsted.
It is.
And yeah, someone who's a wealth of knowledge about our community. And now we're, well, let's see, we've got a few more images here of really wonderful hiking experiences that we've had.
Looks like that's getting a bit higher.
Yes, it is. This looks like it's probably Hell's Half Acre, which is another really important piece of land in our community, sort of between Grass Valley and Nevada City, and it has some spectacular examples of wildflowers, and this is a wildflower trek.
Around which there's quite a bit of development happening.
Yes. And here's an example of
trail.
a flume, more hiking through the lands that we've preserved. One of our best programs is the environmental education program, our children's camp during the summertime. It's held at Burton Homestead, which is out on Lake Vera Road outside of Nevada City. This is one of the groups of kids. It looks like they had a Native American day here, and they're posing for some photos there. It's a great camp. This year we had about almost 100 kids.
What time of summer does it happen?
It happens the last 2 weeks of June. This is a Native American Chayacamaidu bark house that's on the property where the camp is held at Burton. It's a Native American village that's being constructed and will be used for the tribe itself and also for educational purposes for children in the schools and through the camps. We have maybe one or two more of these.
That's just outside of Nevada City, about a mile from Nevada City.
Yes.
So people don't have to drive in great distances.
Right. It's a wonderful program, and we've had so many kids. We've had this program going on for so many years now that we have kids that have been through the program that are now coming back as counselors and instructors. So we have a whole generation that's out there now, but we're in the early days of the camp.
This is about what's coming. And so, yeah.
Yes, we have something very exciting coming up. It's our annual benefit concert. It's our #1 fundraiser for the year. It's a concert that we've had every single year, or usually the last weekend of August. This is August 23rd. And I think Sandra's going to talk about this.
Great. So you've been quiet, unusual, but so Sandra Rockman, who is the coordinator of the event, will give us some more information about it.
Well, I'm delighted to be working this year with Marty and Dan, and we're doing this wonderful concert. Dan Hicks and the Hot Licks, and slide guitarist Roy Rogers with the Delta Rhythm Kings. We're going to really have fun on the day of August 23rd, which is 3 weeks from
this show.
From Saturday, yeah. So we are going to have a whole new experience for our audience, because we're moving from where we've been for the last 5 years over at Chris Owens down Cement Hill, and we've been busing people in, and it's been a magical experience. However, we're trying something new. We're going to go to Penn Valley, which is just an incredibly beautiful part of Nevada County. So it just dovetails just so nicely in with the Land Trust mission. We're at the Pilot Peak Winery. It looks right across at Pilot Peak, which I think is the highest point in Penn Valley, 2,175 feet. And there's views in every direction from atop a knoll, which is where the concert will be happening. And there are two families who own Pilot Peak. They win awards for their wines. They're a very young winery because they've only been around 5 or 6 years, but this property is just fabulous. So there'll be food vendors, there'll be an auction tent, we'll have all sorts of great, people bring their chairs and they sit. We'll be seeing a video of the past concert, but with specifically the parts of it that are just like this open air under the stars, and it's going to be a great deal of fun.
And it starts early in the evening?
5 o'clock, yes, 5 to 11, and so people come and then they bring their chairs and set them down in the area, and then we have like-minded community partners. We have an annual raptor release by the Wildlife Rehab and Release organization. Circle will be there, as well as local food coalition, as well as the Maidu that we saw, the Bark House. And so it's a community event. It celebrates community. It celebrates another part of our community. People can, they don't need buses. They can drive themselves. There's plenty of parking this year. And we have all level of packages. You could buy the concert only, you could buy the concert and a dinner ticket, you could buy a concert dinner ticket and a bottle of wine. And if you're a member of the Land Trust or a member of the Pilot Peak Winery, we have a special peak experience we call where you get the VIP treatment all the way through. So it's really going to be a lot of fun, and the talent can't be beat. I mean, Dan Hicks, people remember their first date 30 years ago or 40 years ago at a Dan Hicks concert, and he's got a lot. I spoke to him during an interview, and he's got a lot of new material that he's going to be. It's his sneak peek tour of his upcoming 10th CD release. So that's and then Roy Rogers, who's one of the best slide guitarists in the country, and a Grammy Award nominee several times over. He has chosen to move here in the last year or two.
Really?
He and his wife. And so that's a real special thing. I mean, this gentleman could live anywhere, and he's chosen to live here. And so we're going to try to find out more about why he wants to live here, but I know. I've been here 30 years this year, and I know why he wants to live here. So we want people to go to the Land Trust website, follow the concert links, or call the office and buy tickets and come have a really, really fun time at the Land Trust. Don't forget it's a benefit, and we need all the help we can get, but we're giving you something really, really unique and beautiful.
Definitely. Well, I know you brought a video that illustrates some of what has happened in the past. So let's watch it, and then if there's more to say about it, you can narrate.
Okay. So in the past, we had buses, but this year people can drive themselves, and we encourage carpooling, but you could see that everybody's ready for a good time, and there we are. This is food vendors making dinners, and Lazy Dog confections will be there, and Bada Bing Barbecue.
The community and a
Briar
wonderful
Patch
musical
Deli.
event and protect our natural heritage.
And this is a woman who's talking about the importance of the Land Trust and our mission to save open space. And she's got a glass of wine in her hand, and she's passionate and happy to be there. And some of our guests, you get to see people you haven't seen in a long time, because it brings out the same people each year and then other people. This was a few years back, Tuck and Patty, and I came to this concert just as an audience member before my involvement with the Land Trust, and I didn't know who these people were, but I was completely enthralled to be there at that concert with the fabulous music and the amenities, wines, beers, foods, charming good people. It was really fun. We'd like to get them back sometime. Tuck and Patty. Anything else for the concert?
Great. So the best way, the website is?
If the website is www.nevadacountylandtrust.org, all one word. It's at the bottom of the screen. Or you can call the office and we'll help you out if you don't like to use computers or you need any kind of help or have any kind of questions.
Where is the office located?
And the office is located in the Brunswick area on 175 Jaworski Drive, just across from Weiss Brothers and up a little bit. And we have wonderful auction items. We have a house in Zihuatanejo for a week.
This is at the event.
At the event itself, and we have eco baskets, and we're going to have a kayak to auction off, and we have a bottling day at Pilot Peak Winery where they'll feed.
So is this a silent auction?
Well, both silent and live. I'm touting the larger items right now, but there'll be a lot of wonderful items. We have a whole auction crew who are busily out there in the community getting unique
So I'm
items.
thinking about people who either want to get involved with the land trust because of hearing what you all are doing to find the office above Weiss Brothers or to call. And are you needing any help on the event itself?
Well, we have a dedicated crew of past volunteers, and they're going to get first pick at the volunteer jobs, and plus they're experienced at helping us in a lot of different aspects. So I think we're pretty good on the volunteer picture right now. And but the Land Trust in general is always happy to have some good energy coming to help in the office or help at an event or help at different booths promoting the Land Trust mission.
Well, I think that we've really just scratched the surface of what the Land Trust is about. It's a great introduction, but I would encourage people to really find out more. Go to the event. It sounds great. And if any parting words?
No, I really would love to see people come out and learn more about the Land Trust and have a great time at the concert. If you can't make it, that's okay. We'd love to see you at some of our other events, some of our treks, maybe our kids' camp, maybe some of our workshops for landowners that are interested in conservation.
Well, I want to thank you, Marty and Dan and Sandra. I also want to thank our crew, Cassandra and Gail, Michael Lamarca, our new director, Bill Carquest, our technical engineer. It's been a wonderful program. Continue to support NCTV, your community TV station. Get involved, and hope to see you again. Thanks a lot. Thank you.